Spring of 2021 is utterly packed with great anime. There's the poignant and challenging 86, the fascinating To Your Eternity, and one thing that surprised me is how fun Tokyo Revengers has been. Hell, with MHA Season 5 currently airing, they're turning what was an average arc in the manga to something I look forward to watching every week. But nothing this season has captured my attention quite like this one. This is an anime that in a short time has struck me as something truly special, and that is Vivy, Flourite's song. So I'm gonna split this video into two parts. First, a spoiler minimal section that acts as a recommendation to anyone who's not checked this anime out. Then I'll go into the spoilery stuff because there is a lot to talk about there. So without further ado, let's be on with the video. Vivy is an original anime written by Eiji Umehara and Tape Nagatsuki. To some, that second name might sound familiar, as Tape Nagatsuki is also the writer of Re:Zero, one of the most popular and critically adored isekai there is. And his writing chops definitely show there, with smartly implemented time travel mechanics and characterization that can only be described as genuine and heartfelt. Taking place in the year 2056, Vivy depicts a world in which AI have become a common component of it. Each AI is implemented with a mission, their singular purpose in life which they feel compelled to fulfill at all costs. However, 100 years further in the future, the AIs aren't exactly happy with the state of things, so they start killing everyone, with a war breaking out. This brings us to our protagonist, a songstress AI given the mission of making people happy with her singing. Her simple life is complicated by the fact that an AI from 100 years in the future comes back in time and gives her the mission of preventing the war between humans and AIs, correcting the events that lead there over the next 100 years. What I find interesting about this is the use of time travel in this show. So far, it has been used once, and it has gone one way. Backwards. Once the AI that gave her this mission, Matsumoto, gave it to her, all he has is access to future historical records. Instead of hopping around time, they have to live through the next 100 years, doing their best to correct things. Each time, they only have one chance to get it right, and whatever consequences they face are permanent. This creates a really interesting narrative dynamic, taking full advantage of its premise, as every mini-arc builds off of the last one and its consequences. Everything they do is high risk, building towards what they see as a greater good and struggling with that concept. And while there aren't many characters that play a huge role in this story, it is a show that has a protagonist with a very strong presence and drives a lot of the direction the narrative takes. Vivy starts out as a very inhuman protagonist, but in a way where she is only cold because she does not understand what it fundamentally means to be expressive or to do something from the heart. But the intense experiences shape her, giving her very human struggles of morality and purpose. Through this premise and character, it asks a lot of its audience, pulling at questions of what makes us who we are, what the purpose of a purpose even is, and what are the consequences of a greater good when that greater good comes at the cost of so much happiness from others. I don't know how this anime is going to end, or where it's going in particular, because it constantly has me guessing wrong. But I feel as if I can say with full confidence, after everything I've seen, everything it has made me feel, that Vivy is beautiful. Now, I'm gonna talk spoilers and specifics now because I can only hold back on that for so long, so if what I have said so far has caught your attention, please check this anime out. Maybe it won't be for you, but it is a show that I have grown to genuinely love, and I think most people who like anime should give it a chance. Alright, spoiler talk time. I guess what I want to start with, like I did in the non-spoiler section, is to talk about the time travel stuff, because how this series handles consequences is just so good. Every mini-arc so far has dealt with the direct consequences of the previous one, and it really throws this moral wrench into the overall plan that Matsumoto has. So far, episodes 5 and 6 are the peak of this anime. I absolutely love how the events of the previous 2 episodes are what led to the issue of the islands being created before the world was ready, and how her actions are what directly led to Dr. Saiki losing his wife. It's exactly what I was talking about with their trying to avoid this war being what leads to so many losses. It's exactly the use of this concept that even got me to tear up at the end of episode 4. And then we get the end of episode 6 and the consequences keep piling up, with Vivy not only being responsible for the separation between Saiki and Grace, but also her own sister's death. Her resolve to see this through and make this a part of her mission, a part of her purpose, is handled so well as she comes to terms with what her responsibility entails, especially after her previous outing into space. But then it all comes back to the concept of one's mission, further complicating it. She believed she was ready for this, that she had the resolve, but the moment she realizes that her actions have deprived someone of the one thing that gave them purpose, the only concept of humanity that she can understand and relate to, she completely breaks. When Saiki shoots himself, it is so jarring and shocking.
わかりました。約束です。
The direction is also impeccable in this scene, with this one shot in particular just being genius. Earlier in the episode, she resolved that to see her mission through, she would have to kill her own kind, even her own sisters, but she never realized that this human life would be lost as well. And to see that so perfectly visualized with the human and AI blood on each hand is just so haunting. And it leads so naturally into the current mini-arc we're on. Continuing the trend of the previous arc's consequences leading into the next arc, Vivy shuts down and loses the memory of what happened so she can continue to function and live out her life mission. It's just such a brilliant writing decision. I love how this show handles the concept of a life mission as well, how it defines us and gives us purpose, how it can be expanded upon and further complicated, how it informs our decisions and reactions. It is all handled in such a nuanced and human way that the progression of this anime follows so naturally to the progression of its characters, primarily Vivy herself. Like I said, there are a lot of good shows out right now, some of which I am expecting great things from. But something about this anime in particular strikes such a chord in me that I simply cannot ignore it. Vivy is provocative, intriguing, brilliant even. Vivy Flourite's song is beautiful.